6,000 caregivers, 18 countries, 28 studies, and a system that was designed around the person with the diagnosis. Today, we are talking about the impact of caring for someone with serious mental illness. I want to tell you about a woman I know. She was in a relationship for a few years with someone she loved who had bipolar disorder. She learned all the warning signs, sleep patterns, spending, changes in energy. She stopped being able to tell you what she needed for herself because she didn't even have time to think about that. No one, not a single person, asked her how she was doing. Everyone's eyes were on her partner. She was the one without the diagnosis. She was supposed to be fine, but she was not. Researchers look at over 6,000 caregivers across 18 countries and measure exactly what this role does to a human being. And Joyce Geronimo, welcome back to Health and Sync, Connecting the Dots. The mental health system was built around the person with the diagnosis. You know that. The appointments are for them, the treatment plans are for them, the insurance codes are for them. That makes sense. They are the ones who are ill and they deserve care. But here what the system means. When someone has a serious mental illness, the illness doesn't stay inside one person. It radiates outward. It shapes how household function, how finance work, how every ordinary tools they feel. The illness lives in the whole family system, and our health care system is only treating one person. Across 18 countries, across thousands of people, across decades of research, the caregivers were not okay. If you have been telling yourself that what you're feeling is just stress, if you have been minimizing your own experience because you are the one without the diagnosis, if you have been performing fine for so long that you have almost convinced yourself it's true, the research disagree with you. What you are experiencing is a predictable, documented outcome of carrying something this heavy without support. You are not overreacting, you are under-supported. The researchers look at 28 studies and ask, is the burden higher when your loved one has schizophrenia versus bipolar disorder? And across those studies, the answer was no. Both groups are carrying a humongous weight. It was not the label that determined how hard things were. It was the severity of the symptom. How chronic it was, how much the illness was disrupting daily functioning, how much the caregiver was witnessing, solving, and managing on a given day. What exhausts a caregiver is not a word in a chart, it's the 3 a.m. crisis, it's the medication refusal, it's the watching someone you love deteriorate and not knowing how to stop it. The way the illness quietly reshape your entire life while everyone around you assume things are basically fine. Those things exist. Whether the diagnosis is schizophrenia or bipolar, one has sat with caregivers who minimize their own suffering, who tell themselves they don't have it as bad as someone else because the loved one diagnosis sounds less severe, who feel guilty even claiming the word caregiver. That minimization is not supported by research. What the research supports is that your experience is determined by what you are living through, not by a diagnosis category. Certain caregivers' characteristics were consistently associated with really bad outcomes, regardless of the diagnosis. The caregiving experience is not only shaped by the illness, it's shaped by who the caregiver is, what they have access to, and how alone they are in the role. Do you have a therapist, a coach, a peer support? Those are the factors that predict outcome, and they are exactly the factors the system consistently failed to address. I have 4 things for you. 1, your suffering is not a side effect, it's a documented outcome. The research doesn't describe caregiving burden as unfortunately byproduct of loving someone. It describes it as a measurable, predictable, consistent consequence of a role that the mental health system has systematically failed to support. The question is not whether you're struggling, the question is whether anyone is helping you. One of the most consistent findings across the 28 study is that caregiver burden is associated with isolation, with lack of support, with being handed a humongous responsibility and left alone to figure it out by themselves. It's not weakness, it's not inability, it's being unsupportive. The attention is in the loved one. It always has been, and somewhere in that, the system forgot you were in the room. So let me say this clearly. Your well-being matters because you are a human being. Not because it makes you a better caregiver, not because it keeps the family system intact, because you are a person who has been carrying something humongous. Often alone, often invisible. You are allowed to fall apart sometimes. You are allowed to have a bad day that has nothing to do with how much you love your person. You are allowed to grieve the impact that this is making in your life. The version of your life that got smaller. The relationship that couldn't hold everything you were carrying. The part of yourself you set aside and forgot to pick it back. Your needs are not a distraction from the person you love. They are proof that you are still there, that you are still a human being. The researchers closed this paper with a specific call. They call for individualized, structured, ongoing support for caregivers. That kind of support is not widely available. The mental health system is not going to give you a call and ask you how you're doing. They don't do it. It was not built for that. But that support can exist in a smaller scale while the larger fight continues. There is coaching designed specifically for people navigating the long, depleting, largely invisible experience of loving someone with serious mental illness. Is what I build. Health and Seeing Coaching.